Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Danielle Colby has never been a woman who tiptoes around expectations. From the moment she first appeared on American Pickers, audiences sensed it. Beneath the vintage signs, rusty gas pumps, and dusty barns was a spirit that refused to be boxed in. Danielle wasn't just the keeper of the office or the organizer behind the scenes. She was a force, a blend of sharp wit, deep emotion, and unapologetic self-expression. So when fans awoke to headlines buzzing about her daring topless reveal, it felt less like a shock and more like the next chapter in a story she has been telling all along. The image spread quickly, shared across screens with equal parts surprise, admiration, and debate. Danielle stood tall, confident, stripped not just of clothing, but of fear. There was nothing coy or accidental about it. This was not a moment designed to provoke for attention's sake. It was deliberate, artistic, and deeply personal, an extension of the woman fans thought they knew, yet were still discovering. For years, Danielle has lived at the intersection of rebellion and grace. While American Pickers showed her as the steady heartbeat of the show, her life beyond the cameras revealed layers far richer. A burlesque dancer, fashion icon, and vocal advocate for body positivity, Danielle has long used her platform to challenge narrow definitions of beauty. To her, the body is not something to hide or perfect for approval. It is a canvas, a story, a declaration of survival. That's what made this moment resonate. The topless reveal wasn't framed as scandal, it was framed as art. Soft lighting, purposeful posture, and a gaze that spoke of strength rather than seduction told a story louder than words ever could. Danielle wasn't asking permission to be seen, she was reminding the world that visibility can be an act of power. Fans reacted in waves. Some applauded her bravery, praising the confidence it takes to show up fully as yourself in a world quick to judge. Others were startled, struggling to reconcile the Danielle they knew from television with the woman boldly claiming her body. But even that discomfort proved her point. Growth, after all, is rarely comfortable. Behind the image was a deeper message Danielle has echoed for years. Bodies change. They bear scars, stretch marks, history. They carry pain and joy in equal measure. In an industry obsessed with polish and perfection, she chose honesty. By revealing herself, she invited others to question why nudity is so often confused with shame and why self-ownership is still considered radical. Those close to Danielle understood immediately. Friends spoke of her courage, her refusal to let age, criticism, or expectation dictate her choices. They described a woman who has fought hard battles, emotionally, physically, creatively, and emerged more certain of who she is. This moment wasn't about headlines, it was about freedom. The timing mattered too. In a cultural moment where conversations about autonomy, expression, and authenticity are louder than ever, Danielle's reveal felt like punctuation, a bold period at the end of a sentence that said, "I am still here and I am still me." For longtime American Pickers fans, the moment invited reflection. The show has always been about uncovering hidden treasures, forgotten items with stories etched into their rust and wear. In a way, Danielle did the same. She uncovered herself, not as something new, but as something always there, waiting to be fully seen. What lingered after the initial buzz wasn't shock, but respect. Respect for a woman unafraid to evolve in public. Respect for an artist who understands that vulnerability can be strength. Respect for someone who refuses to let others define the limits of her identity. Danielle Colby's daring reveal wasn't an ending, it was a continuation, a reminder that authenticity is not a phase, but a practice. Whether behind an office desk, under stage lights, or standing confidently in her own skin, she remains exactly what she has always been, unapologetically real. And in a world cluttered with filters, expectations, and fear, that kind of honesty is the rarest treasure of all.
Colby has always lived comfortably outside the lines others try to draw. Long before she became a familiar face on American Pickers, she understood that life, like the antiques she loves, carries value precisely because of its imperfections. Scratches tell stories, faded paint holds memory, and people, like objects, are never meant to be locked behind glass. So when news broke that Danielle had stunned fans with a daring topless reveal, it felt less like a sudden departure and more like a bold continuation of her lifelong philosophy: authenticity over approval. The moment didn't arrive quietly. Social media lit up with reactions ranging from awe to disbelief. Yet, amid the noise, one truth stood firm: Danielle was entirely in control of her narrative. The image was striking, but not reckless, confident, but not careless. It radiated intention. There was no sense of hiding, no attempt to soften the message for comfort. She stood as herself, fully present, unfiltered, and unashamed. For years, viewers had known Danielle as the sharp, stylish backbone of American pickers. While Mike and Frank traveled the country digging through barns and basements, Danielle kept the operation running with intelligence and attitude. She was organized, witty, and refreshingly real. But the show only ever showed one layer. Off-camera, Danielle's life unfolded in vibrant color: burlesque stages, creative expression, activism, and an unwavering commitment to body positivity. That commitment was at the heart of her reveal. This wasn't about shock value or chasing relevance. It was about ownership. In a culture that constantly polices women's bodies, what's acceptable, what's too much, what should be hidden, Danielle chose visibility. She chose to say, without words, "This is my body, and I decide how it is seen." The image itself felt almost poetic. It wasn't loud or crude. Instead, it carried a quiet strength, like a woman standing in her truth without needing to explain herself. Her posture spoke of confidence earned, not borrowed. Her expression held years of experience, resilience, and self-knowledge. It reminded many that confidence doesn't come from perfection, but from acceptance. Fans who had followed Danielle for years weren't entirely surprised. She has always been open about her journey, embracing aging, celebrating curves, rejecting unrealistic beauty standards. She has spoken candidly about self-love as a daily practice, not a destination. The reveal felt like a visual extension of those beliefs, a reminder that empowerment is not just something you say, but something you live. Of course, not everyone knew how to react. Some struggled to reconcile the business-savvy Danielle from television with the bold artist stepping into the spotlight on her own terms. But even that tension served a purpose. It exposed how tightly society clings to labels and how uncomfortable it can be when someone refuses to stay in the box assigned to them. Those closest to Danielle understood the deeper meaning immediately. Friends and collaborators described the moment as liberating, even healing. They spoke of a woman who has weathered criticism, personal challenges, and public scrutiny, yet continues to choose herself. To them, this reveal wasn't a risk, it was a release. There was also a quiet message woven into the moment, one that resonated with women of all ages. Danielle didn't present an idealized version of herself. She presented a real one, a body that has lived, changed, and endured. In doing so, she challenged the idea that confidence has an expiration date, or that self-expression should diminish with time. In many ways, the moment echoed the spirit of American Pickers itself. The show celebrates objects that have survived decades, sometimes centuries, carrying the marks of their journey. Danielle's reveal mirrored that same reverence for history, personal history. It suggested that there is beauty in what has been lived through, not just what appears new or untouched. As the headlines faded and conversations evolved, what remained was admiration. Admiration for a woman unafraid to redefine herself in public. Admiration for someone who understands that empowerment isn't about pleasing an audience, but about honoring your own truth. And admiration for the courage it takes to stand visible in a world that often demands conformity. Danielle Colby didn't reveal herself to be provocative. She revealed herself to be honest. And in doing so, she reminded everyone watching that freedom often begins the moment we stop asking for permission. In a world filled with noise, filters, and expectations, her message landed with rare clarity. Being yourself, fully, boldly, and unapologetically, is the most daring act of all.